I stood in that boardroom, hands trembling under the table, while every single person stared at me like I was nothing. He leaned back in his chair, Daniel Cross, CEO of Crosstech Industries, and he smiled. Not a kind smile. A cruel one. "Emma," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "are you actually this dumb, or are you just pretending to waste our time?" The room went silent. I opened my mouth to respond, but he cut me off. "No, seriously," he continued, laughing now. "How did someone this useless even get hired? Did you sleep your way into this job, or did HR just feel sorry for you?" Laughter. Not from everyone. But enough. Enough to crush me. I felt my face burn. My throat tightened. I wanted to scream, to defend myself, to tell him that I had worked harder than anyone in that room. But I didn't. I just sat there, frozen, while he mocked me in front of the entire executive board. And then I did the only thing I could do. I quietly stood up, grabbed my bag, and walked out. No one stopped me. No one said a word. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to like the video and watch till the end. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. My phone buzzed. A text from my colleague, Sarah. "Emma, are you okay? That was so messed up." I didn't reply. I couldn't. Because I wasn't okay. I had spent 3 years at Crosstech. 3 years of late nights, missed dinners, cancelled plans with friends and family. I had given everything to that company. And Daniel Cross had just humiliated me like I was nothing. But here's the thing. Daniel Cross made a mistake that day. A fatal mistake. He assumed I was weak. He assumed I would just disappear, lick my wounds, and fade into obscurity. He had no idea who he was dealing with. Let me back up. My name is Emma Lawson. I'm 32 years old, and I've been working in tech innovation for almost a decade. I'm not going to pretend I'm some genius. I'm not. But I am smart. And I'm relentless. When I joined Crosstech 3 years ago, I was brought on as a senior product strategist. My job was to identify emerging technologies and figure out how Crosstech could capitalize on them. And I was good at it. Really good. In my first year, I identified a patent loophole that saved the company $12 million. In my second year, I developed a predictive algorithm that increased sales efficiency by 37%. And in my third year, the year Daniel Cross humiliated me, I had just finished building something extraordinary. Something that would change everything. A proprietary AI-driven market intelligence system. It was brilliant. Cutting edge. Revolutionary. It could analyze competitor behavior, predict market shifts, and identify acquisition targets with terrifying accuracy. I called it Oracle. And I had spent 18 months building it from the ground up. Daniel knew about Oracle. He had seen the early demos. He had even praised it once, in passing. But he didn't understand what it really was. He didn't understand that Oracle wasn't just a tool. It was a weapon. And after what he did to me, I decided to use it. The day after the boardroom incident, I didn't go to work. I stayed home. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, a cup of coffee, and a very clear plan. I pulled up Oracle. I had built it on my own time, using my own resources. Crosstech had never officially funded it. They had never signed any paperwork claiming ownership. Legally, Oracle was mine, and I was going to sell it. But not to just anyone. I was going to sell it to Daniel Cross's biggest rival. Atlas Global. Atlas Global was everything Crosstech wanted to be. Bigger. Smarter. More ruthless. They had been trying to acquire Crosstech for years, but Daniel had always refused. He was too proud, too arrogant. He thought he was untouchable. But Atlas Global had one weakness: they didn't have the intelligence infrastructure to predict market trends the way Crosstech did. They didn't have Oracle. And I was about to give it to them. I spent the next 2 days researching Atlas Global's leadership team. I identified the key decision-makers, studied their acquisition history, and crafted the perfect pitch. Then I reached out. I sent a single email to Marcus Reed, the Chief Strategy Officer at Atlas Global. The subject line was simple: I have something you need. The body of the email was even simpler: let's talk. I attached a one-page summary of Oracle's capabilities. And then I waited. It took less than 4 hours for Marcus to respond. When can we meet? The meeting took place 3 days later, in a private conference room at a hotel in downtown. Marcus Reed was exactly what I expected: sharp, calculated, and ruthlessly ambitious. He sat across from me, fingers steepled, eyes locked on mine. Tell me about Oracle, he said. I didn't waste time. I opened my laptop and pulled up a live demo. I showed him how Oracle could analyze Crosstech's quarterly reports, predict their next product launches, identify their weakest divisions, and map out their entire supply chain vulnerabilities. I showed him how it could do the same for any company, any competitor, any target. Marcus didn't say a word. He just watched. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and smiled. How much do you want? I had rehearsed this moment 100 times in my head. I don't want money, I said. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Then what do you want? I want a job. A position on your executive team. And I want equity. Marcus studied me for a long moment. Then he extended his hand. Deal. The contract was signed within a week. Atlas Global acquired full rights to Oracle for an undisclosed sum. I was brought on as Vice President of Strategic Intelligence, with a 6-figure salary and a significant equity stake. But the real victory wasn't the money or the title. The real victory was what happened next. Within 2 weeks of acquiring Oracle, Atlas Global used it to launch a hostile takeover bid for Crosstech. They identified every weakness, every vulnerability, every financial misstep Daniel Cross had made over the past 3 years. And they exploited all of it. Crosstech's stock plummeted. Investors panicked. Board members started jumping ship. And Daniel Cross, the man who had called me dumb and useless, was suddenly fighting for his company's survival. I watched it all unfold from my new corner office at Atlas Global. I watched the news reports, the financial analyses, the think pieces about Crosstech's collapse. And I felt nothing. No guilt. No regret. No sympathy. Just satisfaction. But here's where the story gets interesting. Because Daniel Cross didn't just lose his company. He lost everything. 3 weeks after Atlas Global launched the takeover bid, Daniel called me. I was sitting in a strategy meeting when my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen. Daniel Cross. I let it go to voicemail. He called again an hour later. Again, I didn't answer. He called 6 more times that day. Then he started texting. Emma, we need to talk. Please call me back. I know you're upset, but we can fix this. Emma, please. I deleted every message without reading them fully. But the calls kept coming. Every day. Multiple times a day. He was desperate. And I was enjoying every second of it. 4 weeks after the takeover bid, Crosstech's board of directors held an emergency meeting. The vote was unanimous. Daniel Cross was removed as CEO. He was given a severance package and escorted out of the building by security. The company he had built over 15 years was gone. And it was all because of me. I didn't hear from Daniel for a while after that. I assumed he had finally given up. But then, 2 months later, I received a letter. Not an email. An actual handwritten letter. It was delivered to my office at Atlas Global. I opened it slowly, curious. The handwriting was messy, almost frantic. Emma, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know I hurt you. I know I was cruel. But please, you have to understand I was under so much pressure. The board was pushing me, investors were demanding results, and I took it out on you. It was wrong. I'm sorry. But what you did, what you've done to me, it's destroyed everything. My company is gone. My reputation is ruined. My family is falling apart. I'm begging you, Emma. Please. Just talk to me. Let me explain. Let me make this right. Please. Daniel, I read the letter twice. Then I folded it, placed it back in the envelope, and threw it in the trash. But the story doesn't end there. Because a few weeks after I received that letter, something unexpected happened. I was sitting in my office, reviewing quarterly projections, when my assistant knocked on the door. "Emma, there's someone here to see you." "I'm busy," I said without looking up. "Tell them to schedule an appointment. She says it's urgent." Her name is Rebecca Cross. I froze. Rebecca Cross. Daniel's wife. I set down my pen and looked up. Send her in. Rebecca Cross was elegant, poised, and clearly exhausted. She sat down across from me, hands folded in her lap. "Thank you for seeing me," she said quietly. I didn't respond. I just waited. She took a deep breath. "I know what Daniel did to you. I know how he treated you. And I want you to know. I'm not here to defend him." I raised an eyebrow. "Then why are you here?" Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. "Because he's not the man you think he is." I leaned back in my chair, intrigued. "Go on." Rebecca wiped her eyes and continued. "Daniel didn't just lose Crosstech. He lost everything. Our savings. Our home. Everything we built together. And now he's falling apart. He barely sleeps. He doesn't eat. He's drinking constantly. I'm worried he's going to do something terrible." I felt a flicker of something, sympathy, maybe. But I pushed it down. "That's not my problem," I said coldly. Rebecca looked at me, pleading. "I know you have every right to hate him. But please don't let this destroy him completely. He's a broken man, Emma. He's already lost everything. Isn't that enough?" I stared at her for a long moment. Then I stood up. "Tell Daniel to stop calling me. And tell him that if he ever comes near me again, I'll file a restraining order." Rebecca's face crumpled. She stood, nodded quietly, and left. I watched her go, feeling nothing. Another month passed. Atlas Global officially completed the acquisition of Crosstech. The company was dismantled, absorbed, and rebranded. Daniel Cross became a footnote in business history. And I became one of the most powerful executives in the tech industry. But then, just when I thought the story was over, I received one final message. It was an email. From Daniel. The subject line was simple: the truth. I almost deleted it. But something made me open it. "Emma, you won. I lost. I accept that. But there's something you need to know. Something I should have told you a long time ago. When I humiliated you in that boardroom, it wasn't because I thought you were dumb or useless. It was because I was terrified of you. You were smarter than me. More innovative. More capable. And the board knew it. They were already talking about replacing me. With you. So I panicked. And I did the only thing I could think of. I tried to destroy your credibility before you could take my place. It was cowardly. It was wrong. And I've paid the price for it. But you need to know the truth, Emma. You didn't just take down a cruel CEO. You took down a desperate, insecure man who was too afraid to admit that you were better than him. I hope that gives you the closure you need. Goodbye. Daniel. I read the email 3 times. And then I closed my laptop. That was 6 months ago. Today, I'm sitting in my office at Atlas Global, looking out over the city. Daniel Cross's empire is gone. My career is thriving. And I've never felt more powerful. But sometimes, late at night, when the office is empty and the city is quiet, I think about that email. I think about what Daniel said. And I wonder, was it worth it? Did I destroy him because he deserved it? Or did I destroy him because I could? I don't have an answer. But I do know one thing. Daniel Cross was right about one thing. I am better than him. And he should have been terrified. Because when you humiliate someone, when you crush them in front of everyone, you better make sure they don't have the power to fight back. Because if they do, they'll destroy you. And they won't feel guilty about it. Not even a little bit. My phone buzzes. I glance at the screen. Daniel Cross. He's still calling. Even now. Even after everything. I stare at the screen for a moment. And then I silence it. And I get back to work. Because I have an empire to build. And I'm just getting started.